My name is Kayla Carter, and the day my mother forgot to book my flight to my own brother's wedding was the day something inside me finally went quiet. Not angry, not dramatic, just done. I was 28, sitting in a glass office in Austin, Texas, staring at risk models for a fintech company that praised team culture while forgetting my name in meetings. My phone buzzed on a Tuesday afternoon. "Kayla, honey," my mom said, her voice rushed and oddly casual. "We forgot to book your flight and hotel for Ethan's wedding in Paris. Everything's sold out. Peak season, you know how it is." I looked at the framed family photo on my desk. My brother Ethan in a tailored suit. My sister Jordan leaning into him, smiling wide. My parents glowing. And me? Half-cropped, barely there. "I understand," I said. Click. No yelling, no tears, no confrontation. That night I opened my calendar and erased my life. Before that call, my life looked successful on paper. I worked in fintech analytics, pulling 12-hour days modeling fraud detection systems and credit risk pipelines. I was the one managers pinged at 10 p.m. because Kayla will know. I paid my own rent. I paid my student loans. I never missed a deadline. At family gatherings, though, I was invisible. Ethan was the golden child. Jordan was the loud one. I was the reliable one, which is another way of saying the one who didn't need anything, so no one checked. I covered hotel rooms when parents forgot their wallet. I booked flights for holidays. I adjusted my PTO around everyone else's plans. When Ethan announced his destination wedding in Paris, I congratulated him, sent a gift, and assumed, like always, I'd handle my own logistics. Apparently, I assumed wrong, and when they forgot me, no one apologized. They just expected me to adapt. That night, instead of calling anyone back, I listed my couch for sale, then the dining set, then the bookshelf, then the microwave. Each item disappearing felt like exhaling after holding my breath for years. The next morning, I walked into my boss's office. Gloria had mentored me since my first internship. She looked up, squinting at the paper in my hand. "Kayla," she said, "this better not be a resignation." "It's a sabbatical," I replied. 1 year, international training. She leaned back, scanning the form. "You've never taken more than a long weekend," she said slowly. "I'll approve it, but this role waits only if you come back stronger." Her pen scratched the page. I handed my badge to security that afternoon. At home, the apartment echoed. By sunset, everything I owned fit into one rolling suitcase and a backpack holding my laptop. I parked my car in a long-term airport lot, prepaid, registration paused. Then I booked a one-way flight. Not to Paris, not to anywhere familiar. Berlin. Using miles I'd earned from years of business trips I never enjoyed. I shut my phone off at the gate. No goodbye post, no explanation, no forwarding address. I vanished. When I landed in Germany the next morning, standing alone with my suitcase in a city where no one knew my name, something unexpected happened. For the first time in my life, I felt light. And I had no idea that disappearing from my family would be the single decision that would make me rich, untouchable, and impossible to control ever again. Berlin didn't welcome me. It ignored me, which, I learned quickly, was exactly what I needed. The studio apartment in Neukölln was smaller than my college dorm back in Texas. One narrow bed, a single burner hot plate, a window overlooking a concrete courtyard where neighbors smoked in silence. 550 euros a month, paid up front. No credit checks, no questions, no expectations. I stocked the fridge with eggs, oats, and vegetables from the Turkish market down the block. I planned every meal, every euro, every hour. On Monday morning, I took the U-Bahn to the Technical University of Berlin. I had enrolled in their AI FinTech certificate program, a 6-month full-time track that blended machine learning with European banking regulation. It wasn't glamorous. It was brutal. Classes started at 8. Labs ran late into the evening. Professors didn't care that English wasn't everyone's first language. If your model failed, it failed. No extensions, no excuses. I loved it. Back in Austin, I had been the smart one. Here, I was average, which meant I had room to grow. I dissected neural networks designed to flag fraudulent transactions in milliseconds. Learned why models failed not because of bad math, but because of bad assumptions about human behavior. Group projects forced me to explain complex systems to engineers from 5 different countries. That alone sharpened my thinking more than any performance review ever had. On weekends, I freelanced, debugging code for local startups, cleaning pipelines, fixing deployment errors no one else wanted to touch. The pay came through wire transfers, small enough to avoid tax nightmares, steady enough to cover rent. I tracked everything in a spreadsheet. No coffee shops, no impulse spending, no social life. This wasn't deprivation. It was focus. 3 months in, winter settled over the city. Gray skies, early darkness, long nights indoors. While others complained, I thrived. Cold sharpened my discipline. I built credit risk models that outperformed benchmarks by double digits, tuned hyperparameters until false positives dropped near 0. Then, one Thursday night, everything shifted. I met Grace at a tech meetup in a converted warehouse near the Spree River. She was French, early 30s, PhD in machine learning from the Sorbonne. Sharp, direct, uninterested in small talk. She moderated a panel on real-time transaction optimization. During Q&A, I asked about cross-border latency and risk scoring. She didn't answer immediately. She studied me. After the panel, she found me near the cheap beer table. "You don't ask questions like a student," she said. "You ask like someone who's been burned by bad systems." "I have," I replied. She smiled. Once. We got coffee the next morning at a co-working space in Mitte where she held a resident desk. She laid out her idea on a whiteboard. An AI engine that scored credit risk in milliseconds, using alternative data like utility payments and behavioral patterns instead of outdated FICO models. I pulled out my notes from class. Banking regulations, audit trails, compliance gaps no engineer ever wanted to think about. By closing time, we had an architecture sketch that actually worked. A week later, we incorporated a lean German GmbH, minimal capital, no fluff. Grace handled neural networks. I built the compliance layer. Every prediction traceable, every decision auditable. We bootstrapped from her apartment, coding sprints, pitch practice, cheap takeout. Our first break came faster than either of us expected. A mid-sized Berlin bank agreed to a demo. I presented the dashboard. 92% accuracy on historical defaults. Live data. No false positives. The risk officer leaned forward. They signed a 6-month pilot. $200,000, milestone-based. We didn't celebrate. We reinvested. Cloud credits. A part-time developer from Poland. Faster inference speeds. Grace insisted on a 50-50 equity split. Trust matters more than leverage, she said. She was right. Word spread. We landed an accelerator spot, declined early term sheets, focused on product market fit. I wrote white papers on ethical AI and lending. No marketing, just substance. They circulated. By the end of the year, the bank renewed, triple the fee. My life settled into a rhythm. Morning stand-ups, code merges, evening runs along the river. No family calls, no updates, no guilt. Grace once asked who my emergency contact was for insurance paperwork. I gave her the name of a Berlin lawyer. That was the end of the conversation. Then, in year 2, an email landed in my inbox from New York. Victoria Hale, Chief Revenue Officer, Nexus AI. She had tracked my writing, our growth, our models. She wanted to talk. The role she offered doubled my income. Equity, authority, global reach. For the first time since I vanished, I paused, not because I was afraid to move forward, but because I realized something deeper. I was no longer running away. I was being recruited. And I knew the next choice I made would decide whether I stayed invisible or stepped fully into power. I booked the video call, and as the screen connected, I understood this wasn't just a career move. It was the moment my past stopped defining me, and my future stopped asking permission. The video call with Victoria Hale lasted 47 minutes. She didn't ask about my gap year. She didn't ask why I left Austin. She didn't ask about my family. She asked about scale. How do you deploy risk models across jurisdictions without regulatory drift? How do you convince non-technical executives to trust AI? What breaks first when growth accelerates? I answered calmly, precisely, from experience. 2 weeks later, Nexus AI sent an offer. Vice President of Global FinTech Strategy, remote to start, relocation supported, equity vesting over 4 years. I accepted. The transition happened fast. I sublet the Berlin studio, shipped 2 boxes, clothes and servers, left everything else behind. New York greeted me with noise, urgency, and ambition. The corporate apartment overlooked the Hudson. Not luxurious, efficient, clean lines, no excess. Nexus occupied 3 floors in a WeWork tower. Engineers debated microservices over cold brew. Product teams argued roadmap trade-offs like chess players. For the first time, I wasn't the quiet one in the corner. I was introduced at all hands as the person who would win enterprise deals. Pressure didn't scare me anymore. It focused me. My first quarter was an audit. Legacy code, broken assumptions, inefficiencies hidden behind jargon. I rebuilt the fintech division leaner. Smaller teams, clear ownership. Then came the breakthrough. A multinational lender headquartered in Chicago wanted AI underwriting for small business loans across all 50 states. I led the pitch. Live demo, real-time approvals, 70% reduction in processing time, fully compliant. They signed. $3 million annually, renewable. The news moved fast. Industry circles whispered. And then, something unexpected happened. My former employer in Austin lost the same RFP. Internal memos leaked, budget freezes, delayed launches. The company that once barely knew I existed now studied my work to understand why they were losing. Victoria rewarded the win with expanded authority and a seat at the executive table. I didn't celebrate. I executed. Life in New York settled into structure: morning gym, strategy meetings, minimal furniture, simple meals, no social media, no updates. Then, one afternoon, LinkedIn notified me of a message from Kyle, my ex-boyfriend from Austin, the one who disappeared when I left. He claimed he was leading a new AI risk platform at a struggling competitor and wanted to catch up. I ignored it. Then he sent slide decks. Too familiar. Weeks later, he announced a panel appearance at FinTech World in Las Vegas. His demo mirrored unpublished work Grace and I had shelved months earlier. I registered for the conference under Nexus credentials. Victoria approved it as competitive intelligence. On stage, Kyle projected confidence, tailored suit, buzzwords, applause. During Q&A, I raised my hand, calmly. I referenced specific optimization loops, variable names, architectural decisions. Then I displayed side-by-side screenshots, our private repository, time-stamped, predating his launch. The room shifted. Kyle stammered about open source inspiration. The moderator requested verification. A quick search revealed his repository, forked from a leaked university archive tied to my coursework. Whispers spread. By afternoon, social threads dissected the evidence. His employer suspended him pending investigation. Weeks later, the company filed for bankruptcy. Kyle's profile updated. Junior roles. No references. I didn't contact him. Corporate counsel handled cease and desist filings. Victoria integrated the incident into onboarding training. Quiet competence, she said. That's how power defends itself. Meanwhile, Nexus expanded. 2 more flagship clients, cross-border integrations, rising margins. Then, after 5 years of silence, my phone lit up. Family messages, hundreds. Videos, emails, voice notes, apologies, explanations, guilt. They had found me. I read everything once, at my kitchen counter, tea cooling beside me. And in that moment, I realized something that surprised even me. I felt nothing. No anger, no longing, no urge to explain. Just clarity. I drafted a single response, 20 words. I'm fine, living well. Please stop contacting me. Sent. Blocked. Archived. Boundaries held. Then, Victoria offered me a promotion, VP of Global Operations. More equity. Path to C-suite. I listened. I thanked her. And I declined. Because for the first time, I didn't want to climb someone else's ladder. I wanted to build my own. Within 30 days, I incorporated my own company, and the life I built next would be untouchable. Not because I disappeared, but because I finally chose myself. I incorporated Carter Finn AI in Delaware on a quiet Monday morning. No launch party, no announcement post, no press release. Just paperwork, a clean cap table, and a clear vision. The company focused on embedded credit intelligence for e-commerce platforms, AI underwriting at checkout, invisible but powerful. I funded the seed round myself with a small group of angels I'd met speaking at conferences over the years. People who respected discipline more than hype. We leased a modest office in Soho, 6 engineers, 2 sales leads, no vanity hires. Revenue targets came before headcount, always. Growth didn't explode, it compounded. Payment processors integrated our API. Merchants saw conversion rates lift by nearly 30%. Word of mouth filled the pipeline. No paid acquisition, no inflated metrics. 18 months later, we closed a Series A at a $40 million pre-money valuation. By year 3, Carter Fin AI filed for IPO on NASDAQ, ticker CFAI. We priced at $27 per share, raising $250 million for global expansion. The company valued just over $1 billion. On bell-ringing day, I stood on the floor with a small delegation. No family, no old friends, no speeches. Just a quiet acknowledgement that patience, boundaries, and skill still worked in a world obsessed with noise. The stock opened strong and climbed steadily. Analysts praised sustained profitability and 95% client retention. I read the coverage over coffee and closed the tab. Meanwhile, the ripples of old dynamics played out without my involvement. Ethan finalized a divorce. Court filings cited irreconcilable financial stress. Failed real estate flips, debt piled too high, retirement accounts drained. Jordan filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Influencer contracts dried up, taxes unpaid, credit erased. She moved back to the Midwest, starting over in entry-level roles. My former employer in Austin was sold off in a distressed acquisition. The brand dissolved. I learned all of this secondhand. I never reached out. Boundaries weren't punishments. They were maintenance. Life settled into a rhythm I chose. Morning workouts, focused board meetings, evenings cooking simple meals in a quiet apartment overlooking the city. I invested steadily. Index funds, municipal bonds, commercial real estate. No shared finances, no explanations, no guilt-driven decisions. One afternoon, years later, I found an old photo while cleaning a drawer. The one from my desk in Austin. The half-cropped version of me. I didn't feel sad. I felt proud. Because the woman in this life wasn't waiting to be included anymore. She built the table, and she decided who sat at it. If you're listening to this and you feel invisible, if you're the reliable one, the quiet one, the one everyone assumes will always adapt, hear this. You don't need revenge. You don't need closure. You don't need permission. You need distance. You need skill. You need boundaries that don't apologize. Sometimes the most powerful thing a woman can do isn't to confront. It's to leave, build, and never look back. And when they finally notice your absence, you'll already be living a life they can't reach.